The state of Florida is revisiting the no-fault appeal. Florida lawmakers are again moving to dismantle the state's no-fault auto insurance system, reviving a debate that has surfaced repeatedly in recent years amid concerns of costs, coverage, and litigation. So what does this mean for you and me? And injuries are personal with Reynolds Law. Attorney Carl Reynolds is here to break it all down. Carl, not a new topic, but one that keeps coming up and coming up and coming up. So tell me about it.
So it's come up my entire career. 25 years, it's come up. It actually sunset at one point in the mid-2000s for a few weeks because they didn't renew the system, and everyone was lost and didn't know what was going to happen and things. So first, let's talk about what we have.
Yeah,
right?
What is the current law?
So the current law is we're a no-fault state. We're one of a handful left, okay? A majority of states do not have this system. And what it means is that no matter who's at fault, you have auto insurance, it'll pay up to $10,000 of your medical expenses. So you and I are in a crash, okay? Doesn't matter who's at fault. I say you're at fault. You say I'm at fault. I've got $10,000 that will pay for it. Even if I admit I'm 100% at fault, under my insurance, I have 10 grand. I can go get checked out if I'm hurt in an accident. So that's the current system. The trade-off is where insurance companies give, they take away. The trade-off is you can't sue for personal injury, okay? So non-monetary damages unless you prove you have a permanent injury. So you've got to prove there's a threshold required. What's being recommended now is let's scrap that and let's go to a straight fault system where I have to buy bodily injury coverage, a minimum of $25,000 per person, $50,000 per accident, so that if I cause you harm, you don't have insurance to go through, and if you don't have health insurance or whatever, you know that I've got at least $25,000 to cover your medical expenses and your pain and suffering. Okay, over 90% of the states have that sort of system. The limits differ from state to state, but that 90% of the states have this.
So to put it into layman's terms, I mean, what are the pros and cons of this? I mean, obviously money comes into it, coverage comes into it, but are there any other pros and cons we should know about?
So I think it comes down to dollars and cents. You know, it's always about the money, right? So under our current system, you're not required to buy bodily injury coverage. So you're not required to buy insurance that pays for your damage. So if I run into you and cause you harm, I'm not required to buy bodily injury coverage that pays for your bills that are beyond $10,000, okay? Or for your pain and suffering. So because I'm not required to, a lot of people don't. I would guess about half of the drivers don't. And they're able to keep their insurance bills relatively lower. Well, now if I'm required to buy $25,000, some people are going to see an increase in those limits. Now, other people who already carry it are going to see a decrease because they don't have to carry PIP anymore, the no-fault provision. So I think maybe generally there's going to be a lot of people that will have some increases and a lot of people that have decreases, and it'll probably wash itself out.
Do you find that the PIP gives people a little bit more breathing room when it's that decision of whether or not I seek medical care?
I think with the PIP, it gives them the peace of mind that I need to seek medical care. I don't have to check whether or not you have insurance or not. I can go right away. So for that reason, hospitals and a lot of doctors like that system, and they also support a lot of our legislators, right? So, so there's been a lot of pressure to keep the status quo. So I don't want to get into all the politics of it, but you're right. There's that. But if there's now mandatory bodily injury, as long as they have a registered vehicle and is legally registered, now you know there's at least $25,000 that you have that I'm entitled to if I'm hurt as a result of your negligence.
What would immediately change if the law changed?
Well, what immediately changes, everyone would have to buy at least $25,000 of bodily injury and $50,000 in $25,000 per person, $50,000 per accident at a minimum, which also would entitle everyone to have uninsured motorist coverage, which I've repeatedly said on the show is an essential part of your protection. And so I think more people will be better insured. I really do. I think more people will have more adequate insurance. Now, we can argue whether or not $25.50 is adequate. I would argue for more. I would say we should have it higher, especially with today's expenses and things. But I think it would result in more insureds and better insurance across the board.
Should people be worried or just ride it out and see what happens?
I don't think we need to be worried. Again, over 90% of the states have this system, so it's worked in those states, and I think it can work in our state no problem.
All right, well, thank you for revisiting it with us again and answering all those questions. Obviously, for more information about any of your legal questions, go to injuriesarepersonal.com. We will be right back.